Well, I've got a special guest today. Pete, my good old buddy Pete, uh, introduced me to a woman by the name of Tia Bell, who has had her own TV show for a while on A&E networks. She was, I think she was on was it Real Housewives of New Jersey? She had told me. Um, and then through there, I guess they figured out this girl's psychic. We ought to create a TV show with her, another one. So then they create a new TV show with her, and that's where that show came from. This is several years back. So Pete gave me her bio. I'm going to read it to you, and then she'll be on here in just a second. We're going to talk a few things, crypto, and maybe a little bit of politics, and about spirit, and how she got where she got, and all that good stuff. And their Patreon. So Michelle White Dove had theirs, and then now there's this new one. So it's actually patreon.com/Tia Bell, TIABELLE. And Pete is working. They're working together just like Pete did with White Dove. So Tia Bell is an internationally acclaimed spiritual consultant, life coach, psychic medium, public speaker, and crime scene detective. As the TV star of A&E's Psychic Tia, Tia's magical abilities have helped her become an international celebrity. She is well known in the United States as the resident psychic medium for Good Morning America. Having been blessed with the God-given ability to provide others with insight, guidance, and direction, Tia gives spiritual advice and support to a diverse roster of private clients, including A-list celebrities, Fortune 500 corporations, CEOs, business moguls, influencers, and law enforcement. And I don't have her site in front of me. I do have the Patreon, but I think you can sign yourself up for readings with her if you'd like. I don't know if rates and all that good stuff, but she does do readings. Just in case you're wondering, you don't have to be a CEO or a Fortune, work at a Fortune 500 company. It's just some of her A-list clients. She discovered her abilities at about 3 years old when she began to receive messages from the deceased. Her family encouraged her to embrace the gift, as it has been passed down in her family for many generations. As she matured, so did her ability to tap into the spiritual realm, and she began her mission to make a difference. Tia has helped people across the globe connect with loved ones that have crossed over. By age 11, she was actively reading and advising family and friends, and word quickly spread about her extraordinary abilities. Tia believes that to those whom much is given, much is expected in return. She lives by this philosophy while on her journey to make the world a better place. And reminds me, that last sentence, of how I feel about myself wanting to tell all you guys all that time ago about crypto, and guys, you can get out of debt, you can pay your freaking house off, you can pay your cars off, these things will skyrocket multiple times your investment. You just gotta take the profit and don't watch it fall. So I feel like I'm doing my duty to help humanity, and in doing so, spirit came into my life, as you know, a couple years ago through Woo Doo Julianne, and next thing I know, I'm having psychic dreams about crypto prices and politics and President Trump getting arrested, but he knows about it. It's a movie script, so to speak. But again, I've been given that, so I also would like to use it. Hey, guys, Spirit just gave me this crypto. I better go post it on Patreon. And a lot of times I'll come out to YouTube and just say, hey guys, you know what? I think I need to tell you about this. Or Woo Doo will be like, yeah, we got to tell them about it. And then we end up telling you about this new coin or whatever this trade is or something, because it's just important that people need to get it. So, at any rate, with no further ado, I welcome you, Miss Tia Bell. There. Well, everybody, I have got a very special guest with me. You may recognize her, you may not, because I think I've seen some videos of you with different color hair back in the day.
Yeah.
Maybe recognize her face. Now, do you go as psychic medium or just psychic? What's your preferred?
I just say psychic Tia. That's what A&E gave me, and that's what I'm kind of sticking with.
Yep. So psychic Tia Bell. So you've heard the introduction I played before this, and that's who we have on the screen here today. So it's kind of an interesting story because I'm having like flashbacks of when I met Michelle Whiteduff through Pete and his wife Lisa, and then all of a sudden it's the same thing again with Tia. It's and I'm like, how did she even I'm like, Pete, do you know her? No. How the hell did this happen? So we were just talking about that a little bit. Fascinating. So essentially, they were wondering what do we do with our Patreon? We have all these members. Michelle's gone, unfortunately, but gosh, it was such a great group. We want to keep this kind of flow going, but we don't have that psychic person to fill in the gap. So Pete essentially reached out to her, and I'll let her tell the story in a minute how that happened because it was news to me. I mean, he called me up. He was so excited. He's like, "You won't believe." He's like, "Here's three psychics. Who do you think got back to me?" And it was just amazing. So let's start off with your story. When you were really young, you figured out, hey, I'm psychic. I've got these abilities, and then you started reading for friends and family. Like, let's kind of start there. Tell us a little bit of your history.
Well, we definitely divulged a lot of my intimate details during my TV show, but when I was 3, there was a lot of interaction between myself and spirit. And my poor parents didn't know what to do with me. So it was just years of the visits, the messages. And when you're a child, this is normal to you. And then at a certain age, you start to look and you keep it secretive. It's just between yourself and your family. And it got to the point where I said, I really don't want anybody to know. I don't want anybody to know about this. Started reading tarot, was completely mesmerized. It was like a protection thing. I was finding myself. I really don't want to say my age, but it's from the Dewey Decimal System. So as far as I'm concerned, we didn't have the internet to go to. There was no one to come in and save. It was really through education and reading for me to find out that I indeed had a gift. And then early on, I think I was in 5th grade, and I had told my best friend that there was going to be a sudden death of a man. And within 3 days, her father died at 42 years old. So I knew I was onto something that was very different than other people.
Wow. So then, and I guess at a later age, you would just, I guess the word got out between friends and family, and
Yeah. I think the part for me was growing up is hard enough. So, do we really need to slap on all of the sarcasm and the skeptics? Did I need that, or did I want to really be as normal as I could possibly be, which is what I had done? I mean, right up through my marriage, through my 20s, getting involved in law enforcement. There were certain chosen people which I felt that I knew were not judgmental, that I knew were spiritual and had faith. And so it would be that person for me to divulge my so-called secret to. I would tell everybody I'm the girl that came out of the closet, because it was so secretive.
wow. So at one point, you became a law enforcement officer for a little
Yeah.
while, and then you got kind of a calling, if you will, to
Yeah.
say, no, can't do that.
Yeah.
Go back to, I guess, help people. Tell us a little bit about that.
I was a crime scene detective. And CSI really was something that was my niche as far as working in law enforcement. I did it all. I did patrol. I did everything that I had to do. But crime scene, CSI, I just absolutely loved it. I went in for a small surgery, and I called up headquarters and I said, I'm going to be about an hour late. I've got to get a prescription. And this very brazen woman walked in, physician, and said to me, you have 3 days to live. You are going septic. And I was just like, what? Like me? Like what's happening here? And it was a roller coaster, literally, of illness where it did not get better. I went from really bad to worse
Wow.
until I felt that battery dying, and no pun intended with the dying. I was dying. And I said, if you let me stay, I will do your work. Um, we miss Michelle, and she did a beautiful job here on earth to educate and show her gift. And I guess that I was being thrown and thrust into doing that myself. And I walked away from law enforcement and started from ground zero. And here we are today.
So you just started taking clients in as readings, and then A&E somehow found out about you, and
I was on the New Jersey Housewives. So I would say that my exposure from the New
mm,
Jersey Housewives was absolutely insane. And the next thing I know, we were working with A&E on my own show.
So that they probably didn't know this girl's got these abilities. So they probably found out, I guess, working with you with the first TV show that hey, she's got some skills, and then I just morphed right into hey, let's do a new A&E show
Yeah,
for her.
they put me through the ringer. So, there's because we
Now,
know.
when you say ringers, are we talking like tests? Like to see if
Oh
she's really a
yeah,
test, like a
all
real
day
medium.
long, every day. Yes, I was tested beyond tested. I think I left DNA at A&E. Honest to God. It was yeah because let's face it, they're putting their name behind a psychic, and there's as we know there's a lot of fakes. We have to call it
For
like you're
sure.
saying. And especially during that period, I was like, this is crazy because I went through the period in life where I wanted to be held secretive. I didn't want anybody to know. I'm not dealing with the stupid little jokes and I'm just not doing that. And
Hmm.
now all these people are like, I can talk to your grandmother. And I'm like, this is crazy. Everybody wants to be psychic.
Yeah.
I've been in the closet all my life and now I watch people that are not authentic. And that's the sad part about what I do for a living.
Yeah, there's definitely a few of those. I'm not going to mention any names at this time, but there was a recent lady that says, "Oh, Michelle White Dove came through, and she just told me that everything she's gotten with everything she's ever said about crypto, she's done a 180. It's all." I'm like,
Yeah. Okay. How's that straight
no,
jacket working out?
yeah, you're loony, and now you say that after this woman's passed, yeah, okay, so
Exactly. And that's the part that leave this woman to rest.
yeah,
Have respect. See,
yep,
one of the biggest words in my life is respect. Have respect for her work, have respect for who she is, and have respect for where she is.
that's right,
And I'm a big advocate for that. And to anyone that listens to this that wants to come in and disrespect her, we will not pay any attention to you. So, or disrespect me. So, if you want to come in and you want to be a complete nutcase, we're not going to play
yep.
in your sandbox. You will be disregarded.
Yep. Yeah, it's like we don't have time for this crap anymore.
Yeah, I
We're
no.
not trying to convince anybody, like those days are long gone. We don't have to convince anybody that this stuff's real or someone's can have psychic ability. It's like, you know what, let their track record speak for themselves. I mean, anybody can search for your name now, just like they could for Michelle. And she was on I think the psychic America's Top Psychic Challenge or something in 2007. So that's when I first saw her, but I didn't know that was the person that Pete knew at, all these years later. But it was kind of funny again. It's a similar story, TV. Her boosted her career up. You TV, A&E, same thing, Pete. So let's move into Pete. How the heck is Pete telling me, Joe, I got this lady, this amazing psychic lady to come on and do this. You won't believe it, and the lady from A&E, I go, you gotta be kidding me. And I'm like, man, it's like all over again. And she doesn't know anything about crypto? No. She wants to get involved finally? Yes, because she knows about it now. But I'm like, this is like the same conversation you and I had with Michelle. And I'm like, she lives in Fort Lauderdale. Tell her I'll drive down there with some hardware wallets and hook them up. Like, yes, I want to be friends with that lady. Like, thanks for the this information, this data information. I feel like I'm in debt forever. Like, I want to be her friend. I want to be just like you. I want to be your friend now. So, we'll
Wow,
see.
that's wonderful.
So, yeah, tell me about Pete. How did that happen?
It was a reading. Pete had called and left a message, and I happened to have retrieved the message, and there was just something about him, and I'm really like apologies to anyone that calls and leaves a message at my shop, but we are inundated. We have been for a very long time. And sometimes personal space we need to have. So if it takes a little while to get back, eventually we will. But Pete was a rare case. So the same day that Pete called, pretty much I called him back. And there was just something that was very weird about driving me to him energy wise. And we had a phenomenal reading. There was a really good interaction and the more that you have that with a human being, the better off you are. It sends that to like it rockets. So we did have that. We just had a really great camaraderie and a lot in common. And this did come up in conversation, but never for me to think that this would be a means that we would have a relationship in business. And so the next thing I know, we have a conversation about, unfortunately, the passing of Michelle. And I started to get signs. This is the part that Pete doesn't even know. I was getting signs of, I was seeing gold coins and I was seeing a gold crown. So I have a client that went to Portugal. I had done meditation and I see this enormous gold crown. And I'm like, what does this mean? I see these gold coins. Literally, even in my bedroom at night, I would wake up and see them. She comes back from Portugal and she hands me the Blessed Mother. On the Blessed Mother is this massive crown. And I looked at her and I said, you don't even understand what 2 days ago happened to me to see. And she's like, Tia, wait, let me show you the church. The church in Portugal, the entire entity of the roof is a gold crown. So all of these little signs as life and as spirit brings to me started to say that something is coming up that you're trying to give me grace on. You're trying to show me a pathway. And then when Pete had called, explained what happened with Michelle, where Patreon is going, I said, you know what? This was no coincidence.
So you just, I mean, it was pretty quick. Just, okay, something's happening. I'm being called to
Yeah.
this guy. All the million, not millions, but millions of people trying to get through, leaving messages. You get to his somehow. It stands out. I got to call this guy. Like I'm being nudged. Spirit has a way of doing that. When you're used to it, you're
Yeah.
used to it. You know something's going on, and then you have the conversation. Michelle comes up and Patreon and boom, 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 boom. Just like a bunch of dominoes, just boop, 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 down, done. And like it was literally like a transfer of okay, her site's still here, but we're moving to this one because we've got someone who can fill the shoes that they think. I say we. I was about to say we because I'm not really part of that group, but I'm friends with Pete, so I'll still say we thought would work. And here it is. I mean, it's just like it didn't even turn off. It's like, okay, let's move on over to this next thing. It's just amazing. Already put out a report, a brief initial one, which I want to talk about a little bit. So Pete had told me after the fact, just to be fair, he said, I gave her a list of like a dozen or 10 coins or so. I forget the number, 8 or 10 coins. And he goes, and I kind of felt bad, but I put a shit coin in there, because she knows absolutely nothing about crypto. So he goes, I put in this squid coin, this complete shit coin. He goes, but then I put in the coins that we like, XRP, XPRT, Theta, a couple others. And he says, so I'm asking her, and here's her response. So he gave me the report, before he's telling me how the conversation went. And I'm just like, as I'm kind of reading the report, I'm going, it's really very similar to the way him and White Dove jived and just put it out. It's like if no one knew that happened and like you faked it, like, oh, she's still around. Here's the next report. No one would even know. Like the way it was almost like whatever source of information she was getting and from Spirit, you were tapped right into it, and it's
Yeah.
coming out the same way. I was just
Yeah.
like, wow, this is something Michelle would have said when she's in the zone doing the reading for Pete.
Yeah.
And you're tapped into that same thing, I guess, pulling the same information, therefore it comes out the same. I was like, man, that's pretty fascinating. So Pete tells me, he goes, so I'm talking about XRP, and she's like, oh, this one's getting ready to, it's gonna, like, I see like a flag, like, get ready to take off. It's getting ready to take off. It'll take off. And then, he talked about persistence, XPRT. I think you'd said that, people they're gonna forget about this coin because it's done nothing. And it's like, oh, forget about it. And you're like, oh no, don't forget about this one. It's gonna run up one day and surprise everybody. And it's a good one, get that one. So then like he gets to this, squid coin, and you're like, I might be paraphrasing because I don't have it right in front of me, but he was like, oh, you're like, get this is shit, get it out of here. So I'm like, this is garbage, get this, throw that one away. This is junk. This is piece of crap or something,
That was a little test. That was a little test from Pete, huh? We
Yeah.
know now you divulged this, but
Yeah.
um,
So he's like, what? He goes, I had to test her. He goes, I know what I saw on TV and everything about it. He goes, but I felt like this is, man, she's the one. But he goes, I didn't think she'd call me back or like get back to me. Like, He goes, but then she did. He's like, it's like a 1 in a trillion chance. He goes, and then it's like a 1 in a quadrillion chance that we're gonna do Patreon and work together. I'm like, hey, I was like, well, you know how that goes, man. If it's meant to be, Spirit made that happen. She's
I
supposed to fill
agree.
in those shoes for
I agree.
sure.
I agree. There was,
About
as I said, so many subliminal signs that came in that were, I knew it was going to reveal itself, and that is exactly what happened. I would say within a 2 month period, that was starting to bring itself
mm,
through. But it was the dichotomy that it was Pete and I and Lisa that we had this really great energy. And here's the thing: I think Michelle did a wonderful warm up on teaching how to work with a psychic, because I don't want to hear it all. I don't want to hear it all. I just want you to hit me, let me tell you what I get, and let's move it on. And that kind of a setup is what's really working wonderful, because I don't want to know. I do not want to taint my thought process. I do not want to know anything. I want spirit to just come in clean, tell me what the message is, give it to Pete, and then it's for Pete to do what he needs to do with it.
yeah,
So we really are a team.
yeah, it's amazing. Um, so I had a little conversation with Pete about this. He's like, oh, she'll talk politics, but you may want to keep it, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, we don't want to upset anybody in certain views or whatever. I said, but I certainly would like to, maybe talk a little bit about kind of anything you've gotten in the future, soon to be future regarding politics or this. There's an interesting Supreme Court case that's coming up. But before that, if I may, I would like to ask you about one single crypto coin. Um, yeah, I get information in my dreams. It started about 2 years ago, like
Very
psychic stuff.
cool. Good.
Um, and it seems to be very accurate. So I got this really weird dream and about this particular crypto coin. It is called Tether, and the symbol is USDT. And this coin is essentially a stable coin. It always stays at $1 so that people can trade in and out of other cryptocurrencies, regardless if the market's up or down on coins. This thing stays at $1. It's like a dollar coin. There's a few other ones out there that do the same thing. All of them claim we have a real dollar in the bank for every fake, coin, Tether, or whatever there is that we
Right.
have in the system. In this
Well,
case, Tether says the same thing. But a while back, they said, you know what? We're diversifying out of dollars for our backing, and we're going to keep about 10% dollars, but we're going to go and diversify into other hard assets to back our tether. Now, this coin is supposed to stay at $1, and for all intents and purposes, it pretty much has. I got a dream that that may not be the case. Um,
I'm going to
do
tell
you
you
see?
this.
Okay,
I already see something on it. And I promise you this: if you'll give me a deal, I'll put it in the next report with Pete. And I'm making a note right now that I will tell you what I saw. And I'm actually writing down what I just had the vision of. And I cannot wait to put it in the report.
okay,
Okay. So we will address that. But I want to just express something real quick. I know people now are starting to get to know that I'm going to be working with Patreon. Super excited. And I want everyone to know the dichotomy of how we're working this. Please do not call my shop and ask me for crypto readings, please, because I'm a nice girl, but you don't want to ruffle my feathers. So if I feel like someone is coming in and stepping a little too far from what I've asked, and I really will shut it down. What goes on with crypto, what goes on with anything that Pete and I are doing with Patreon will be
separate.
exclusive
Yeah,
in the reports. It will be in the reports. When I go to work, I'll talk to your dead grandma, but do
yeah,
not ask me about crypto, please. So fair is fair, people. You got my heart here. I
yeah,
wear it on my sleeve.
yeah. I did see her disclaimer, folks, on the Patreon. So I was made aware of that from Pete, and I saw it myself because I'm a member. I joined, of
I'm
course.
very spiritual. I live with God in my heart,
Yep.
but I also
Yeah,
got
if
some.
you want the crypto stuff, you want the
Yeah.
financial crypto. Now, would that include anyone? Because I know some people might call and ask about their retirement fund, their stocks. Would you lump that in there too, or no? Because
You know, we
to be
talked a
clear,
little bit. We talked a little. I feel right now that here's the freedom that I feel between stocks and crypto. So,
Okay.
I'll offer this out right now. Right now, I feel like people in the stock market, you're so pigeonholed. I feel like this is a complete criminal activity that's going on right now, and manipulation. And that is truly hardcore from my opinion and my gut. I feel that there is more freedom that is going to rise as far as crypto is concerned. That is a market that is super, super intellectual, being competitive, and not having so much of a chokehold corporately as what I'm watching. And it's just literally criminal what I'm seeing in the stock market.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, right, it's like, it's just, there's not red flags. I actually see handcuffs. Like, this is a criminal activity, um and they are all in it together. They're all in it together. So, I really feel that we're going to see a rise. It is going to take a while as far as where we would like to see things go.
Now we're
And
talking stock market right now.
that's stock market I'm talking about,
Okay. Okay.
as far as Bitcoin's concerned. I think cryptocurrency is where I think there is more of where spirit is coming in order to be a bit of a savior as far as what people need to be able to do investments, not being completely taken advantage of by corporate America.
Yeah.
They don't care about the little guy. We're the average Joe that's trying to go ahead and say, I want to make money off of this. We do not have, trust funds, grandpa and daddy's money for us to blow on the stock market. We're not that. We're the people that are trying to get ahead. And that's what we're trying to do here.
Yep. And with crypto, we think that's the way. So again, people, if you want to subscribe to their Patreon, which it is patreon.com/Tia Belle, TIABELLE. Don't forget the E at the end, even though it's
Don't
Bell.
forget that.
It's not
Don't forget
Bella, not Beauty
that
and the
E
Beast,
as in
right?
excellence.
Or
That's
it
what
is
we're
it is
doing with
Beauty, it
that
is Beauty
E.
and the Beast. Yeah. Say it's not Beauty and the Beast, it actually is Beauty. Belle.
I always tell that even when I make a doctor appointment, I'm like, yeah, like Belle, like Beauty and the Beast, because I don't know how that could be so difficult, but it seems to be.
Yeah. So again, I get some dreams about things, politics, 9/11 kind of event I saw was going to come, worse than
I lost
9/11.
a lot of my people in that.
Yeah, I felt like I was witnessing a second one that was worse than the first one. Um, have you gotten anything like that in your you know
Listen,
readings or
there's a lot of chaos that I definitely feel is good chaos coming up for 2023. People have to realize that the world and energy could not stay at a steady pace, right? It has to go up, it has to destroy, it has to come down, it has to rebuild. When you learn about the tarot deck or any deck that you want to use, everyone is always so petrified of the death card. As soon as they see the death card come out on it, out of
yeah,
the deck.
yeah,
Oh, I go, that's not always what it means. Death can be restructure.
yeah.
Death can be rebirth. It's not always a catalyst for something bad or negative. So I think where we are now is we've had the death. We definitely did not have a good year in 2022 with crypto, but I think that there's your death. And where are we going? We're going to your birth. We're going to the rebuild. And I think that we need to understand that sometimes we need to be into that realm of destruction in order for us to build a new city. So I really want to give faith, and I want to extend that out to everyone, that I want you to feel the energy that we're giving you. And we can do this together.
And birth pains, well, they're pains. So there could be some pain, but it's still a birth pain, a new beginning.
Right. Right. I mean, those, if we just even look at those buildings that were destroyed in my heart. I mean, I got engaged in the World Trade. So my love of New York City, I live right outside of it, but we rebuilt that, didn't we?
Yep.
We rebuilt that destruction. And I think I want to share that with everyone, that no matter what destruction we have in our life, you have to look at it as a clear playing field of how you're going to rebuild. And I mean that from my heart.
All right. I'd like to ask you one other thing, if I may. So there's a Supreme Court case known as the Brunson brothers. They're filing this case without a lawyer, so that means they're doing it pro se. They're representing themselves. And if they're successful, without going into all the details, if they're successful and the Supreme Court's supposed to rule on the 6th of this month, a few days from now, whether they're going to actually rule on the case or not. It's made it this far, which is absurd that it got this far, and we think it may go the distance. We don't know. If it
Okay.
does, it's going to remove most of Congress.
Say that again.
If it's if the court rules in their favor, it will remove most of Congress members, like out of a job. Bye bye.
I, I understand what you're saying. I think the truth will prevail.
Okay.
I think the truth will prevail. Um, that is honestly, that is such a little big toe into the vast
Sure.
problems that we have right now. So
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, I don't find that earth shattering.
Yeah.
You know,
It
I
would be a
do.
good start.
Yeah, I like change. I think change is really good. I think change in every aspect is good for us. You know, you lose your job, it's devastating, it's horrifying. Oh my God, we don't know what to do. Once we dust ourselves off and pick ourselves up, guess what? We landed something better. So I think where we are for 2023, where we've seen a lot of the destruction just in the nation on itself, I think we're building slowly, and I think we are making some change, honestly. I'm in a much better positioning how I feel for 2023.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, again, bad things sometimes have to happen. Some things are just baked in the cake sometimes that just it is what it is, it's going to happen. But then again, after that's done, like you talked about, the rebuilding can happen, and then many times it could be something way better than we expected as the outcome of whatever that bad event was or whatever. But I mean, our country's in so much debt. It's out of, just incredible. Like that can't continue. Like there's just so much that has to change from the financial system and everything. And again, stock market is completely rigged. If all this
100%.
stuff goes into crypto is not really, there's a transaction for everything in crypto, and they can't just burn it up like they did. Speaking of World Trade Center Building 7, they burned up a lot of evidence on some major crimes that just went away, of course. Like you can't do that on the blockchain. Once something happens, a transaction happens, it's there forever because so many people are running these nodes across the world. Like it's just a backup of a backup of a backup of a backup times thousands and maybe even millions. So, when a transaction happens, they'll never be able to, do this funny work where they, we shredded the papers, you know, we destroyed those documents. We didn't know we weren't supposed to, of course they did. Like that stuff would go away in a blockchain world.
I think people are waking up to a lot of what once was hush hush or that people did not, obviously you work with a third eye, right? If you don't work with your third eye, your decision making is just very clouded. So I
Yes.
always tell people, get that cataract off, dust that cataract off, and get that third eye going. I don't care about these two, I care about this. So that third eye, I think a lot of people are awakening and are more so not listening to what they're being told, but what they're being educated on. So I'm extremely happy for that coming forward for 2023. Out of the dark and into the light, man. That's all I got to say. Enough with the darkness. The dark, nothing grows in the dark. Nothing grows.
That's right.
Okay?
Out of the dark and into the light. That reminds me of a very
Everything is
special
about the
saying.
light.
Everybody
Yeah.
who's listening, the number 17, that just reminds me of the darkness into the light saying. It's a very interesting saying.
You
So that,
and the honest to God part of that, I mean, I've done exorcisms. I mean, I have a very extensive repertoire of my work. And yes, it's always about the light. It is always about the faith. It is always about what your belief system is over the darkness. I've seen the darkness many, many times, and I'm not afraid of it. So, because I know that when that light comes in, boom, it's just disintegrated. And I think that's where, Pete and I had been talking, and I'm like, sometimes there's verbiage that comes through from spirit, and I have no idea what I'm saying, but I want to keep it that way.
yep.
As far as Patreon is concerned, I want it to stay very innocent as far as I'm concerned. And I said to him, I'm like, Pete, I see Twin Peaks coming. I have not knowledge as to why I'm being told that to tell you, but that's where we are. And Pete's like, don't worry about it, Tia, I got you, girl. And so we see that. I see a lot of circles and enclosures that are happening in multiples. Um, I do see that I really like that XRP going in at around 7, needs to build, slow build, but we're going to get there. Um, and, we've got another report that's going to be coming out. So just stay tuned.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to have you stay on for just a second while I end this recording. But everybody at your homes and your living rooms watching this, give her a nice little round of applause, even though we can't hear you, okay, for coming on the JSNIP 4 Realist News Show. Thanks to Pete once again. It's funny how it's just a cycle again. So I'm kind of getting a little download right now. Speaking of the cycle, how we talked in the beginning, how you came in again, the White Dove thing. It's just like, oh my God, this is a repeat 2018. What did all of you see crypto market wise from 2018 till now? If we literally do a 360, you're going to have a really nice run up coming to you in the crypto market, a very nice one. But when you use the word Twin Peaks, makes me wonder, like, oh, we may have an all-time high, nice little pullback, another all-time high, or it touches it again, and then maybe that's the next cycle instead of, because usually we just get one big run up, doesn't last long, a month or 2 months, it's over, and then we go into a bear market for a year or 2 years or whatever it is. So maybe when you just said that, I'm just trying to figure out what could be meant. Twin Peak to me seems like a double top of maybe a new
I heard
all-time
Twin
high.
Peaks. I heard Twin Peaks, and I had no idea what I was saying. But whatever spirit gives me, we go right
Just
through.
say
I
it.
do automatic writing, so yeah, it's pretty horrifying. And I tell Pete all the time, my chicken scratch. I did do automatic rating on one of the episodes of A&E. So we do visual, we do audio, and we do automatic writing, and that's how we get the messages for us to give to Patreon.
Excellent. Okay, well, once again, thanks for coming on. We'll do this anytime in the future you need to do it or want to do it, or Pete asked me to, and blah blah blah. No problem. And you hang out, and I'll stop this recording.